Motivation is a great date, but it never sticks around to make breakfast. Success isn't a movie, it's a loop. It's not about a lightning strike of inspiration. It's about the quiet, boring, and remarkably unsexy discipline of showing up when the vibe is dead. If you are waiting to feel like it to start, you've already lost to the person who treats their work like a machine. This isn't a video about motivation. This is a breakdown of the silent math that turns a boring Wednesday into an empire. We've all been there. It's 11 p.m. on a Sunday, you've just watched a live reset video, and you are suddenly convinced that you are going to become a millionaire by Christmas. You've got the vision, the fire, and the frantic energy of someone who just drank 4 espressos. That's motivation. And let's be honest, motivation is a blast. It's the honeymoon phase. It's that person you meet at a bar who promises you the world, who whispers sweet nothings about your potential and makes you feel like a god for 3 hours. But here is the problem. Motivation has a short attention span. It's a flake. It sneaks out the back door the moment the things get boring, difficult, or heaven forbid quiet. You wake up on a Monday morning, the spark is gone, and you're left staring at a cold cup of coffee and a mountain pile of actual work. Motivation thrives on the idea of doing something, but it's allergic to the process. If you're sitting around waiting for the spark to strike again, you aren't running a business, you run a fan club for a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. Success isn't found in the highlight reel or the day one energy. It's buried in the silent, repetitive, and deeply unglamorous hours where nobody is watching and nothing feels inspiring. Because the moment that feeling evaporates, your brain starts searching for excuses to quit. It starts feeding you a narrative that sounds logical, but it's actually a trap. Which brings us to the biggest obstacle that's standing between you and your goal, the voice in your head that tells you how you feel. I don't feel like it is the most expensive sentence in the English language. If you only worked on the days you felt like it, you'd be lucky to successfully finish Netflix series, let alone build a life you're proud of. I don't feel like it is a luxury you can't afford. It's the most expensive sentence in your vocabulary because every time you say it, you've traded a piece of your future for a temporary hit of comfort. The most eye-opening truth you will ever learn is that your feelings are completely irrelevant to your results. The gym doesn't care if you're sad, the bank account doesn't care if you're uninspired, and the market doesn't pay you for your vibe. It pays for your output. Waiting to feel like doing the work is the definition of arrogance. It's essentially telling the universe that your goals aren't actually that important, that they're just hobbies you'll get around to if the stars align and your morning matcha hits just right. Real professionals don't have moods, they have schedules. A surgeon doesn't walk into the OR and say, "I'm just not feeling the vibe today, let's reschedule this heart transplant for Thursday." They show up because they have a contract with reality. You, on the other hand, are still treating your dreams like a suggestion. Stop asking your feelings for permission to be great. They don't want you to be great, they want you to be comfortable. And comfort is a slow-acting poison that kills every ambition you've ever had. But if you're still convinced that the feeling is the missing ingredient, don't worry. There is an entire industry of people waiting to sell you that feeling, usually for the low price of your entire paycheck. Welcome to the Inspiration Industrial Complex, a multi-billion-dollar machine that's designed to keep you exactly where you are, in the state of the perpetual getting ready. We've turned seeking motivation into the full-time hobby. You aren't gathering information by watching that 40-minute video on how to wake up at 4 a.m. You're just avoiding the fact that your actual work is boring and your desk is a mess. But there is a whole economy built on making sure you never realize that. Gurus don't make their millions by teaching you how to be disciplined, they make them by selling you the hallucination of progress. When you buy that high-ticket course or attend that mastermind retreat, your brain releases a massive hit of dopamine that feels exactly like a win. You feel productive, you feel like you are finally on the path, but the feeling of progress is not the same as actual progress. It is a sophisticated scam. These people aren't selling you a map, they are selling you a hit of addictive drug called potential. They want you addicted to the high of their content because if they actually taught you how to build a boring, repetitive system of hard work, you wouldn't need to buy their level up coaching program next month. You walk away from these videos with a notebook full of quotes and a heart full of fire, but your habits haven't shifted an inch. You're just a motivational junkie looking for your next fix. Real growth doesn't happen in a room full of cheering people or through a sleek online interface. It happens in the silence of your own room, when the hype has evaporated, and all that's left is the task you've been ghosting for 6 months. The truth is, if success would be as exciting as gurus make it look, everyone would be doing it. But the reality of winning isn't a high-speed montage, it's a slow, quiet, and incredibly repetitive grind. If motivation is a flashy, adrenaline-fueled cousin that shows up with fireworks and a loud car, discipline is the boring older brother. He doesn't have a catchphrase or a designer suit. He just shows up, sits at the same desk at the same time, and hums through the same unglamorous tasks until the job is done. We've been conditioned to believe that high-level success looks like a movie montage. Fast cuts, loud music, and constant power moves. But if you actually shadowed a world-class athlete, a billionaire founder, or a master novelist for a month, you wouldn't see a cinematic masterpiece, you'd see a loop. Elite performance is incredibly repetitive. It's the silent discipline of saying no to a night out for the third weekend in a row because your schedule says work. It's the quiet social friction of skipping a once-in-a-lifetime concert because you are mid-cycle on a project that requires absolute focus. It's saying no to the easy dopamine of a scrolling session or a midday nap when your brain is screaming for an escape. The truth is, the people you admire aren't smarter or more inspired than you, they're just better at being the robots. They stopped asking if they feel like it and started treating their work like a mandatory appointment with their future. They've engineered their lives so that the work is the only thing left to do. They've embraced the unsexy repetition because they know that's where the actual transformation happens, hidden right behind the wall of boredom that makes everyone else quit. If you're waiting for your work to feel exciting before you sit down, you've already decided to fail. You have to get comfortable with the silence of a random Tuesday afternoon when the hype is gone and nobody is there to clap for you. While everyone else is busy chasing a spark, the person who actually wins is quietly moving the needle. This is where the math starts to get a little uncomfortable for the overnight success crowd. While motivation tries to sell you a miracle that doubles your life in a day, the reality of winning is much slower, much quieter, and eventually statistically inevitable. We have a massive problem with how we perceive time. We've been conditioned to crave the quantum leap, the one viral moment or lucky break that catapults us into a new life. But the universe doesn't operate on leaps, it operates on compounding. Think of your progress like building a wall. You don't set out to build the Great Wall of China in a single afternoon. You just wake up and try to lay one brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. Then you do it again tomorrow. For months it doesn't look like a fortress, it just looks like a pile of rocks in the mud. To an outsider, you're just a guy playing in the dirt. But every single brick you lay is a permanent gain. It doesn't disappear if you are tired, and it doesn't care if you are uninspired. This is the compound interest of sweat. When you commit getting just 1% better every day, you aren't just adding, you are multiplying. If you get 1% better at your craft every day for a year, you don't end up 365% better. You end up 37 times better. The motivation junkies will never understand this. They are too busy looking for a miracle to notice the math. They want the view from the top of the tower without the lower back pain of carrying stones. When the wall isn't over their head by the second week, they go hunting for a faster way to build or more inspiring shovel. By the time the world finally notices you and calls you the overnight success, you'll know the truth. It wasn't a stroke of luck or a sudden spark. It was the inevitable mathematical conclusion of 1,000 boring, unremarkable Wednesdays where you choose the brick over the vibe. You didn't win because you were inspired, you won because you were the only one who kept laying bricks when the weather turned bad. In about 3 minutes, this video will end. The screen will go black, the music will fade, and you will be left sitting in the exact same room where you started. That spark you feel right now, that sudden surge of "I'm finally going to do it," that's the most dangerous moment of your day. That feeling is the post-motivation hangover waiting to happen. Your brain is currently high on the idea of new you, but it hasn't actually done anything yet. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and the house is cold and the vibe of this video has evaporated, you'll be left with the only question that actually matters. Are you a professional or a fan? A fan loves the idea of success, but they only work when they feel strong. A professional understands that resilience is a muscle, not a mood. You don't find strength like a lucky coin, you build it by doing things you hate when you're exhausted. Every time you force your focus back to the screen while your brain is begging for an escape, you aren't just getting through the day, you are performing a heavy set of mental repetitions. The world is full of geniuses who were too busy waiting for the perfect mood to notice that the people they call average had already passed them. The difference isn't talent, it's the tolerance to discomfort. If your progress depends on your mood, you're already lost to the people who treats their effort like a mechanical obligation. Stop looking for a shortcut and start looking for a schedule. Real growth is found in the boredom. Real power is found in the repetition. Don't try to change your life in a day, just try to win boring, unremarkable Wednesday. If you can do that, the math will take care of the rest. Thank you for sticking till the end. It was Mary with you, and I'll see you the next one.